Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today, we are doing our completion. We're completing it.
I have not been thinking about that all week.
Oh, man, yeah. And also, we apologize for this being a little bit late. We had some stuff come up that was emergency things. So.
We had inclement weather in Texas.
It snowed. We were scared.
Like, legit snow. And then we had a doggy emergency. Some of my dogs were like, "Ooh, what's this gum?"
Yeah, I like xylitol.
I like xylitol, which, so you guys know, at PSA, xylitol is crazy poisonous for dogs. Like, even like one or two little pieces.
I don't know why your dog
gum.
loves poison, but he does.
And one of our dogs in particular happens to be one that's like, oh, I'm going to find something I shouldn't have and gobble every single thing I can find of it. So,
yeah.
Anyway, long story short, they are okay, though. They're on the mend. Everything's okay.
Yeah, so we apologize, but we're finally here. Final crisis.
We're at the final crisis.
Yeah, we're at the finalist crisis. I'm sure this will be the finalist.
Surely there will
one
be
ever.
never another crisis.
Yes, ever. So, but this one is written by Grant Morrison. And art by J.G. Jones. Fantastic art in this whole book, pretty much.
Yeah.
There was a couple. Actually, I don't even know if it was this one because the trade we read had some little issues slipped in to it besides just the Final Crisis main 7 issues. And so I read some of those, and I couldn't, like, when it would switch to those, I would forget, wait, this isn't J.G. Jones, because I was like, ugh, that face looks weird or whatever, you know? So, like, the art wasn't the same par on all the rest of the side books or whatever, but J.G. Jones, the covers were fucking fantastic.
Oh, man, yeah.
And the main book looked pretty fucking fantastic, too. And Grant Morrison, for those you don't know, is a crazy motherfucker. He's a great writer. He's one of the British invasion guys that came when Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman and all those guys came in the 80s. He was kind of like the second round, I think, of them. And, he's done a lot of good Batman stories. You might know Arkham Asylum or Gothic. He did a whole run of Animal Man, which is fantastic, which we will read sometime. Not the whole run, maybe, but a good chunk of it, because there's a badass Psycho Pirate
that's right.
Storyline in that.
Psycho Pirate comes back.
Yeah. We were talking about Psycho Pirate in the Infinite Crisis or Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I'm like, Psycho Pirate's awesome because of that Animal Man run. So, I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know. He's written a lot of stuff. So he's a good writer, but sometimes I feel like he takes LSD and writes, and I like can grab onto some fabric of what he's talking about, but I'm not in the same reality he is. Like some things in that Venn diagram cross over and other things don't. So
truly, there are multiple Earths and multiple things he's going through to get where he's going in the book, and you're like, oh, wait a minute,
how did we get there? Yeah. Where'd you leave us behind? So, I will say this was the most. This was not the worst one, but this was the most confusing one. But I was along for the ride. Whereas opposed to Crisis on Infinite Earths, where it was confusing and I was like, why the fuck is this going on?
Nothing is happening.
Yeah, so this was at least enjoyable to read. You're like, okay, I guess I'm just going to keep reading and eventually tell me what's going on. But it had that bit of wonder to it, we'll call it. Wait, I don't know what's going on, but I'm willing to go with you. Okay, hold my hand, Grant Morrison. Take me through this crazy journey. So, this was from, like we said, it's 7 issues. It's from July 2008-2009. This takes place after the 52 event, which was a big event that after Infinite Crisis. They were like, okay, well, how many multiverses are there? And they were like 52. They decided there's 52 of them, so they had a 52 event where like every week a comic came out, and it was like establishing that universe. And then this was like the crisis that happens to that universe, I guess. And the weird part is, this is not even about like a regular Crisis story. It didn't have anything to do with the other characters. Like you were saying, you thought Superboy Prime was going to show up.
Superboy Prime to show up. I'm like, wait, and we get to the last one. I'm like, oh,
Breakthrough Reality or something. That would have been cool if like maybe that's how Darkseid got through or something. But what this is it's the gods of the fourth world crisis, I guess. And did you know anything about the new gods or the fourth world?
Nope.
No. Okay. So I will fill the readers in because it's kind of a weird thing. Basically, Jack Kirby got pissed at Marvel. He's like, "Fuck you, not paying me shit, you goddamn Stan Lee," and I'm gonna go to the other guys. So he went to DC in the 70s, and he started writing all this crazy god stuff. And it's like the new gods. It's all him, all drawn by him. They all came from that crazy brain of his. Fantastic stuff. It's really, really fun. There's a lot of weird, like, hippie stuff in it, and that's really interesting because you're like, this dude is like an old, like World War II vet, and he's like writing hippie language, and so it's really interesting. I've read a lot of it, but it is weird. It is like, it wasn't like fully established whether that was like in the universe that they're in, or is the new gods like world in a different dimension or something. This once I read this and read the synopsis of everything, it's clear the new gods live in a different dimension than us or whatever. But like it's not one of the 52 universes. Say it's like a dimension inside of one of the universes.
Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know why I didn't get it in the first place because they make it very clear that Darkseid, who is like the god, he's, for all these you maybe watch the Marvel universe stuff, he's the Thanos of DC. So he's like the big cosmic bad, and he is like, I think we talked about it one time in the Frank Miller universe that we were going through. What was it? Which one? The Golden Child. That the Dark Knight, the Golden Child.
Yeah, that's right.
Episode.
He shows up in that one.
He shows up in that, and basically
it's beat by Kid.
Yeah, basically he's just the biggest, baddest motherfucker in the DCU. So when he shows up, generally it's like a giant event.
I will really have to say this comic in particular definitely made me kind of go back to my like, I felt like I was falling in line with DC a little more. I was like, okay, yeah, I see what's going on. And then we start reading this one, and I'm not seeing things that I expect to connect to the other places. And I'm falling back on, man, DC's just like, man, you want to read comics, huh? And it's like grabbing you by like the tuft of your shirt, and it's like,
you think you're cool enough to read comics?
Read this, man. And it's like Marvel's like, here's a breadcrumb, don't forget to follow along. And then DC's like, slap you up the side of the head, and it's like, God, man, you don't know what comics are.
Yeah, you thought you knew what shit was, huh? Well, here's some new stuff.
Exactly.
Why don't you try this, pussy? Like, yeah, that's basically what this was.
That's what this was like.
And you know what that is? It's because Grant Morrison. It's because he likes to go deep into that lore, and that lore is pretty fucking deep. I mean, I didn't know what was going on in any of this either, and I've read not the biggest chunk of the Fourth World stuff, but I've read at least 2 volumes of the Fourth World. There's 4 volumes total. I've read 2 of the Fourth World omnibuses and all of fucking Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen and all the Forever people. I've read like a good chunk of this, and I was still like, now exactly what's going on here. So I like it though, because it makes me intrigued. It makes me go like, well, now I want to read all of that Forever people stuff so I know what's going on, like, so that's just me. Maybe, your mileage may vary, but I thought this was still a good story in the parts that I got. Like the parts that I was following, I was like, ooh, that's cool. That's a cool concept. That's a cool idea. So as opposed to Crisis on Infinite Earths, where I was just like, can we just get through this talking to, and confusion until the story makes sense or whatever. So, and also we're like dealing with concepts that are hard to show on the page, like fourth world dimensions and fifth worlds and multiverses and shit. So it's kind of, if you're not on LSD while you read this, you might not get it. I mean, I think that's what Grant Morrison's telling us. So, but I would say now that you read this, if we go back and read 52, you might be like, oh, there's some cool stuff. There's some stuff that fills in. So, we read that later or whatever. But, it's a fun, that would be a fun one for us to do weekly. because it came out weekly. Like me and you do a one a week together. We read it and like talk about it like a 5-minute podcast or something. That'd be fun. We should do that.
I'm down.
Anyway, side note. So,
if that sounds like something you guys would like, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, if you guys want to hear that, want to hear what the 52 was about, let us know. And if that was good, then you could continue. There's a new 52, which I never read because at that point I was not reading comics because of money, and so
comics cost money.
Yep, and I had just got married and whatnot, and I was like, I don't have time for comics or whatever. So, yeah, I didn't read any of that. So if you guys want to, if you liked that, we'll continue. So, anyway, back to this thing. All right,
the final crisis.
Final crisis. What is it? All right. Basically, the new gods are threatening to come to Earth. They are like trying to break through that fourth wall. They have corrupted people randomly. You don't know who they are, who's corrupted and who's not. You don't know that though at first. But we're gonna kind of like jump around and cut through some of the BS just to like get you the story because like we said, it was quite confusing. There's a lot of ins and outs, and we're just gonna like tell you what's going on. So the dark gods or the evil gods are trying to break through, and it starts off with Orion, the good. He's a new god. He's a good god of these people. He gets murdered, and he is found dead at the docks by some dude named Dan Turpin. And he's like, what the hell? I'm looking like there's a dead body. What the fuck's going on? And the Green Lanterns show up, Hal and John. And they're like, oh my God, we got Orion's dead,
He's a god. How did you kill? Who killed a god?
How do you kill a god? It's like a big thing. And then like all this hubbub comes because of that. How do you kill? Like the new gods are like, what the fuck? Like these are super powerful people. So the Green Lanterns hear about it, like the Oa Guardians, and they send the Alpha Lanterns, who we were talking about. The Alpha Lanterns, came after the Sinestro Corps War. They're supposed to be like these infallible, ultra powerful. They have like, they're basically like Judge Dredd style Green Lanterns, where they have the ability to just like kill you on sight because they're infallible. They say they know you're guilty if you're guilty or whatever. So there's no getting around that. And so they send an Alpha Lantern to help them and whatnot to uncover that stuff. And then basically Dan Turpin, he's trying to figure out who killed this guy, who killed this new god. He's kind of like, what's it called? Like affected by how do you kill a god? How do you do it? And I guess it's weird. Like Darkseid has apparently been like puppeteering on Earth already, as like there's like a club Darkseid and there's a mobster named Darkseid or whatever, but like he's a person, so it's like he's corrupting them from far away, like pulling strings.
Yeah,
but he's not actually on Earth, and he's trying to get to Earth though apparently. So there's been like kids being taken and stuff on the streets besides this murder, and Dan is also on top of that. And it turns out that Darkseid at Club Darkseid, the mobster Darkseid is like has been kidnapping these kids, and he's doing something to them where he's corrupting them with something called the anti-life equation, which is the equation that proves that all of Darkseid, what he talks about, is true. And if you hear it, you automatically become like a minion of Darkseid. You're corrupted. They even go into that in that Batman Last Crusade that we read, The Dark Knight, where one of them gets corrupted. I think Supergirl gets corrupted. Kara.
Yeah, Kara gets.
She gets corrupted by the anti-life equation, and little Jonathan has to save her or whatever. But yeah, so like this is a power that Darkseid's always trying to like take over worlds with. It's basically a virus, like a mind virus. And if you hear it, you're automatically like taken over unless you've got some kind of special power to defeat that or whatnot. So yeah, and that's pretty much like the setup for this. Orion is dead, and Darkseid and the other evil gods are trying to come to Earth, and which is, if they do successfully come to Earth, will create the crisis that we're talking about. So, and also on the side, there's like some side players. There's a new dude named Libra who John had never heard of. He's actually a new character that was made for this. And he basically takes over like the League of Supervillains or whatever. He's like, hey motherfuckers, guess who's here? And he's like, I'm Libra. And they're like, who the fuck are you? And then like he brings in, he's like, I'm the guy who killed Martian Manhunter.
He's like, I could do anything you guys want through me because of the who I believe in, who shall be unnamed for now.
Yeah.
But who I pray to will say, through me, like we can achieve anything. You want a superhero dead? Bam, like Martian Manhunter? Snap my fingers. It's happening. It's down.
So Martian Manhunter is sitting there and Libra like stabs him through the chest and lights him on fire. So Martian Manhunter dies right away.
Right away.
And like first issue, that's like pretty much the big thing that happens. You're like, what the fuck? And he's really dead. I mean, like supposedly in this. I can't think of a time where he came back. I think recently there was maybe in 2018 there was a new series that was called Martian Manhunter, but before that I don't know if he came back or not. So and then we have like that's pretty much the end of issue 1. And then issue 2 takes place most of this book takes place in Bloodhaven, which we talk about in Infinite Crisis a lot. It's like where Nightwing fights the most and stuff. That's like his city.
Yeah.
It's like Batman's got Gotham, Nightwing has Bloodhaven. And so it seems like it's just a real shitty city. I don't know if it's supposed to be like New Jersey or something, but like like, cause you know, Gotham's supposed to be New York. So what's
Bloodhaven? It's true. That makes sense. Wow.
Bloodhaven's New Jersey or Connecticut, maybe? I don't know. It's one of those.
It would be New Jersey.
Yeah, okay. Why, John? What are you saying?
It's
Rhode Island. But yeah, apparently this is where all the shit's going down. We got like people like basically there's like an evil factory there where the new god or the evil new gods have been have set up shop, and they're like trying to create human like animal hybrids to bring bodies for their gods that are trying to like come back into our reality or to try to get to our reality. And those are like set up by gods who have already like crossed over, but they're not powerful gods. They're like the right hand man gods. So they're setting up for Darkseid to come. And Dan Turpin's like, I feel like I gotta go to Bloodhaven for some reason. I gotta figure this out. So he goes to Bloodhaven, and he's like, he gets there, and they're like, "Hey, sir, we're all ready for you, sir." Like he's like, "Why do you keep calling me sir?" And then it basically becomes he finds out that he is the like host body for Darkseid.
Yep.
And so they like it's really cool. I thought like how Dan goes from like a cop like that you don't know really or anything, he's like a side character that you've never heard of, to like they start showing him through the comic as he like gets more and more corrupted by Darkseid, and his skin, like Darkseid's face is like stone that's got all these crags in it and stuff, and like cracks all over the place, and he's just like a big dude that's got like a blue and gray suit on.
Yeah,
like
he's kind of like armor-ish.
Yeah, like I don't know, his body's like rock though, basically. So this dude's like turning into rock, and he's like not having a good day once he realizes what's going on. And they're like, "Hey, check it out! Like we got this new like tiger bodies for Calabac, some other god and stuff." And so they're like, "Sweet, that's pretty cool." And then while that's going on, all the heroes are like at the Hall of Justice, like the Trinity. And this is like the biggest part of this is how do you can't take over the Earth with the Trinity there. You can't have Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman like united because you can't beat them, right? That's basically kind of what Grant Morrison sets up in this. So as part of that, he has to figure out a way to get rid of like the Trinity. So basically you have Superman gets taken out when Clayface, now that he's part of like I'm assuming the Society of Evil under Libra, bombs the Daily Planet and almost kills Lois.
Yeah.
Basically, Superman is sitting there for 18 hours, like massaging her heart with his infrared vision or whatever. That's what he says. And so that's the only thing keeping her alive. So he's like out of commission for that. And this was like the weird thing, because this is the thing they do with events nowadays, where the events don't fully make sense on their own. But Superman disappears for like 5 issues. And we don't know where he went. He has his own side quest in other issues that happened, but we don't know what happened. So he disappears because someone shows up and is like, I know how to save her. You must come with me. And we will, like, I promise you, like, it will be okay. And he's like, okay, you better be right about this. So he, like, leaves. And, like, she freezes time for him so that Lois is, like, stuck in this pocket dimension of time where her last heartbeat hasn't happened yet. So, like, he's like, as long as she's not dead, I'm okay. So, like, he goes off to do his thing. He disappears. And then like, on the Hall of Justice, you know, the superheroes, like when Superman was still there, was talking to Batman and Wonder Woman about like, how did this Orion thing happen and what's going on and who did it, and like Hal Jordan shows up with the Alpha Lantern that is there to help him, and she's like, you know, I don't know, we should figure this out, and they're trying to talk about it, and that's when like he goes and the Daily Planet blows up, and then Batman. What were we gonna say? I
was just gonna say I like the Alpha Lantern's like basically like, yeah, and we're gonna get to the bottom of this, and Batman's like, greatest detective.
Yeah.
She
calls him like a little crime fighting, brigade or something like.
She's like, I got this.
Yeah, she's like, we're Alpha Lanterns, you know.
Yeah, we got this. Yeah. We're on top of this.
So yeah, there was like a little hissy fit between the Justice League head honchos and the Alpha Lantern, but basically, Batman is sitting there thinking on his own, and Wonder Woman goes away to do whatever. And then, like, Hal Jordan's sitting there with Kraken, who's the name of the Alpha Lantern, and she is talking to Batman, and she kind of says, you know what? I think it's Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan's been evil before. It must have been him. And then, like, in the meantime, at the same time almost, in, like, a different area, like, just before this, I guess, before she accuses Hal, John Stewart is also investigating. John Stewart investigates. And he found the bullet that actually killed Orion, which is made of radon or some god-killing
element.
Yeah. And so that bullet, he has it, and then when he's like, the only thing that could have done this is, and then something appears like out of the side of his eye, and like before he can really do anything, it almost takes him out, but he gets one good punch off, but that's it. Like he's taken out, he's knocked out. And then so we cut back to the Hall of Justice where the Alpha Lantern is, setting, like trying to figure out what's going on, and Batman is sitting there with her, and she's like, I know, it's got to be Hal. He's evil. Like, he's gone evil before. He can go evil again. It's got to be him. And Batman's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really see the connection. And then he looks at her hand, and she has a fucking, like, power ring, like embedded into her fucking hand. And he's like, wait a second. That's Jon Stewart's power ring. And she's like, oh, well, fuck you. And she, like, we find out that basically her body, this infallible Alpha Lantern, has been corrupted with the the evil new god, Granny Goodness was her name. She's like, it's like an ironic name, I guess.
I assumed. I was like, sure. We'll go with it.
But she incapacitates Batman. And now it doesn't say it in this series, but what happens to Batman is he's like stuck in some like mind control device or whatever that's like fucking with him the whole time. He's in like some machine in Bloodhaven.
Yeah.
So he is out until the last issue as well. We don't know where the fuck he is though. He just disappears and that's it. Like we don't know what happens to him. So just like Superman, he just shows up kind of like in the last couple issues or whatever at the end. So
only thing we know is that like whatever this machine is, it's like messing with his mind, and they're like trying to get information out of him.
Yeah, it's like they're kind of like if he's having dreams, he's not sure what's real or not, just to try to get info out of him and whatnot. So, but he's Batman. I'm sure he He's already ran through that scenario.
Yeah, that's cool. Is one of the things is like every time like they're trying to pull information from him, they could get close and they're like, oh, we gotta change the scenario because he's gonna realize that he's in a dream and something's not real.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
He's the world's greatest detective. He's gonna figure this out.
We have to come up with so many different worlds just to confuse him. And then the main big thing that happens in this issue is. So Wally West and Jay Garrick are running around and they're like trying to figure out what's going on. They're trying to find the Society of Evil after like the bombing happened. They're like, oh, we got to find these guys now, and they track it back to where I guess like where they killed Martian Manhunter because they find like the chair, the Mobius chair, which is like. An important thing for the new gods. Basically, Metron is a new god and he rides in the Mobius chair. He's a good guy though. So, but they don't really they talk about him, but it's not really that important. Like we said, there's going to be a lot of stuff that we kind of skip over in this. He's in it, but barely. So they find his chair, and then they find like the book of the Bible of Crime, the Crime Bible, which is a weird name for a book, but that's like Libra's book. And then they find Martian blood there. So they're like, oh, man, something must have happened here. Then, out of nowhere, Metron's chair opens up a boom tube, which is like how the new gods travel through dimensions and stuff. Is through the mother box.
Yes.
Which the boom tube and whatnot. You may have seen that in the Justice League movie. That box is the mother box, and it can make a big tube.
I assumed it was something like that.
For dimensional portals.
I was like, that sounds familiar.
Yes. So it opens up a portal, and what do they see? They see a radon bullet flying, and they see another new god named the Black Racer, who's like death, basically, chasing after it. But what's chasing the bullet ahead of the Black Racer is Barry Allen, the fucking Flash. This is the first time he's returned since he died in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
And so while it's like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes. We've mourned for 2 or 3 weeks. This was actually like a full 20 years before he came back to life. So good on them.
That's impressive to keep such a liked character.
Yeah. Almost 20. It was 23 years. So yeah, it's pretty long. So he they see him and they're like, what? And they like start running with him and he's just like, run. Like he's just yelling at them, you gotta run, So like they're running and the Black Racer's chasing him, and that's how that issue ends. The issue 3 begins. One of my favorite characters in this is there's a character called the Human Torch, and he's like Z-list character. Like I guess he's a dude that runs around with a flamethrower and possibly lit stuff on fire in the 50s or something. He's obviously like a shitty side character that doesn't really matter. And Libra, the new bad guy who took over the evil society, is or the Society of Evil. He's like his right-hand man. He's like, don't worry, man, you're gonna help me out. I believe he actually burned Martian Manhunter, but he's like, I got a new suit for you. You're the Human Torch. You're gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. I got a whole plan for you. He's like, okay, buddy. And then so he brings him out. And he's like, check it out, everybody. I got a new suit for this guy. And he puts his helmet on him. And like right away, it's like, I am Darkseid. I am evil, anti-life. All life is bad. Must kill everything that is living. So like basically, we find out that the Mad Hatter, or that Libra has used Mad Hatter technology to make these helmets that when put on people can
people with not enough I guess will or
yeah, it's not super people, it's just people that are normal humans. You put it on their heads, they become evil, on top of there being like anti-life equation stuff anyway going on. It's like you don't want the evil guys necessarily being mindless zombies like they want humanity to be under the anti-life equation. So you put them on this Mad Hatter hat, and they'll follow directions and shit. But if you wanted to take it off of them, you could. They'd come up with ideas and shit or whatever. So, I believe that's kind of why they left them like that. So, it's weird because some people are under the Mad Hatter spell, the hat or whatever, and then some people are under the actual anti-life equation, virus, and then there's a virus too.
Yeah, and then, so
there's like multiple incarnations of these virus. This anti-life equation. There's a virus that's like turning some people into certain bad guys or whatever. It's weird. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. And once again, they don't explain any of this, so you're just kind of like going with it. So yeah, and then like finally, like Hal gets taken under arrest by the Alphas, and Wonder Woman's like, wait a second, like
Hal wouldn't do that.
Yeah, Hal wouldn't do that. I think something's going on in Bloodhaven. I'm gonna go to Bloodhaven. So like she goes to Bloodhaven, and she is confronted by an evil Mary Marvel. Now, one of my favorite things about this book is the Captain Marvel team in this book is very like it's a lot of them. Like he obviously Grant Morrison really likes the the Shazam team,
yeah.
So like there's Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. and Captain Marvel himself and Black Adam. Like they're all in this. So he obviously likes him, but the Mary Marvel, who has now been like she's a host.
Yeah, she's been
one of the bad guys. She's been corrupted. She starts fighting Wonder Woman, and while Wonder Woman like seems to have beaten her, she's like, well, guess what? You're the first to be infected with this virus. That's like the anti-life virus or whatever, and you're gonna lead Darkseid's army or whatever. So she breaks like this vial that has the virus in it, and now Wonder Woman's like corrupted. And then she's like, we find out that actually they're like ready to take over the whole world already. So in that same like 5 minutes or whatever, the god Mockery broadcast the anti-life equation, and then luckily though we get some heroes that are smart and don't hear it and are able to like pull away from the broadcast. But we got the Oracle and Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific is over in I believe Checkmate's like area. Like Checkmate has a castle somewhere that's like we learned about Checkmate in Infinite Crisis.
Infinite Crisis, yeah.
And then Oracle is on like the Hall of Justice area, so she's around there. So they are smart enough to be like, holy shit, pull the plug, something's going on. And so like they are able to like make a last stand because they have those two areas not corrupted, and any heroes or bad guys can like go there to like help them out or whatever. So they pull it, and they're able to like get away from the anti-life equation, which starts taking over. I think they said it's like a third of the world's population just saw it, and then like those are the ones with the internet and stuff. Like, and then like further that they're gonna keep corrupting as far as they can, which I guess is why they have the virus. Maybe
it's because they're not gonna get all of them.
Yeah, you got to get the whole world. So you're gonna get the people with the internet. That's the easy one. You just broadcast it, and then the people with that don't have the internet or don't have TV and stuff, you get the virus to give to them or something. So, and then while Wally and Barry, they were like running around, and they're like, shit, the bullet's too fast. We're like, we're never gonna catch it. And so they like kind of slow down and drop out of the boom tube or wherever that's going, and they drop down in the same place they were, but it's like a month later in the future. So like, whoa, that's crazy. And then like, so it's a month now in the future, and as they're like standing there, Wonder Woman pulls up, and she's got like these big fucking dogs that she's riding. She's got two other minions with her, and she's got this mask on.
I assume these were all
tusks.
Creatures that they were from that place that the other new gods were. The lower new gods were like creating.
Yeah, they're creating all these like dog hybrids and shit. And
there's
weird stuff.
Like from here on, there are so many weird creatures that come up that like people start riding or like are part of like attack plans or stuff. And and like very specific dogs too. There's like pit bull looking dogs. There's Dalmatians.
Yes,
it's very odd.
The Dalmatians are good.
Yes,
the pit bull looking dogs are bad. That's how you know.
Yeah, the pit bull dogs they made look evil.
Yes,
and the Dalmatians.
Not that pit bulls are evil. We love all dogs.
All dogs. I've had worse encounters with Dalmatians than pit bulls.
That's true. They did go through a phase because of that movie, because they got overbred.
Yep.
So, but yeah. So like, there's like we said, there's confusing stuff. Also, there's stuff like we said, Calabac, the evil new god Calabac, has been given like a new tiger body, like a giant badass tiger body like a human hybrid tiger body.
Yeah, it was like human hybrid because he walks on his hind leg.
And he's got a little vest on and stuff, and he's got like a big hammer that he drags around, like a big mace. But then the Marvel family has a talking tiger as well, and he is like a butler. He's kind of like the Alfred of them, and he's like, I'm talkie Tawny, and like I'm a tiger, and so. We'll get there later, but there's like a big battle with him, but the two tiger people, and I thought that was fucking awesome.
That was fun.
But yeah, so then that's the end of issue 3, where like Wonder Woman shows up to confront and kill Barry and Wally. And also, I should say, Jay Garrick blew out his knee or something in the boom tube, so he fell out earlier, and then he went to go tell Iris that Barry was still alive. Yeah, she's like, "Are you fucking serious?" He's like, "Yeah, I swear." I wouldn't lie, like, but my knee, goddamn, I'm old, and so yeah. So now issue 4 starts 1 month in the future, like right where we left off, and basically, like we said, like a little over a third of humanity is under Darkseid's control. There's like 2 pocket resistances. One's like the Checkmate Castle. One's the Hall of Justice. The Hall of Justice has Green Arrow, Black Canary, Oracle, and the Ray, and like a couple bad guys like the Tattooed Man and stuff. Stuff happens with them. It doesn't. I mean, it's important, but not to the story overall. So
the only thing is like they're there.
I do think this has more fun offshoots. So like I cared about what happened to the Tattooed Man in this. I didn't care like in Crisis or Infinite Crisis on. Or Crisis on Infinite Earth, sorry. On Crisis on Infinite Earth, when there was a side story, it would go nowhere, and I don't give a fuck. But in this, I did care about some of the side story people and whatnot.
No, and they still pull them together. That's one thing.
They seem to have like a purpose, even though they weren't.
One of the side stories that I did like is specifically with Black Canary and Green Arrow, because they were romantically entangled, which I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like that's lore.
I've never.
They've always been fucking.
Okay, well, and they were very very much like. In
the throes,
yeah, like very, very much like softly alluded to that in this comic.
Yes,
and by I mean like they're just putting clothes back on.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I did like so like they're together and then they get the call and they kind of join together with some of the lower B superheroes and they're like, okay, well we didn't get turned, we didn't have the internet on or we weren't watching, so we didn't hear the code and we have we don't. Where's Wonder Woman?
Oracle got to them is what happened.
Okay, Oracle got. That's right. Oracle sends out the thing. That's right.
Yeah.
And so so they're all together and like, okay, well we can't stay here because like something's gonna happen. So they end up Green Arrow like gets them all and then he's like, we're all gonna go to the Justice League satellite in space. Yeah. But then he's like, just kidding, you all are going. I love you, Black Canary, and all you other be heroes and like kids.
It's like someone's got to be here to push the button. Yeah, it's got to be me. And
so he sends them all up there, and so they're all in space, and they're like kind of like watching what's happening on monitors, and that's all we see of them. And then Green Arrow. Right as that's happening, like there's some of the
bad guys like burst through the door and they like put the helmet on and they're like, submit.
One of the panels is cool because it's like Green Arrow's firing arrows, and there's like 50 arrows on the page of just him. Yeah. Like, hold on. I was like, how is he firing all these arrows?
Green Arrow.
He's Green Arrow.
He's better than Hawkeye.
But that was fun. It was fun because I like where that comes back later. So.
Yes. Yeah. And so, like we said, they're trying to fight off, but it's like they're holding their own. Like we said, Checkmate has its own castle, and over there is Mr. Terrific and the OG Green Lantern. I liked how they used Alan Scott in this. Yeah. To a good degree, like he was in a lot of it, so that was fun. It's just stuff like that is where you get like obviously Grant Morrison loves these old characters. He loves the Marvel family. He loves some of these older characters like the Green Lantern and stuff. So you got to give it to him for that. But basically, OG Green Lantern's like, okay, like we need to make an attack, but we're not ready yet. Like we have to like get our strength up and whatnot. And so. As he's saying that, basically, back in Bloodhaven, like Dan Turpin's body is giving out fully, and basically he becomes fully reborn. Darkseid becomes fully reborn inside the body of Dan Turpin. So now he's like, I am arrived, or whatever,
Yeah.
I am become death, or whatever, so yeah, that's, and like that is right there. They don't say this ever, but that is the crisis that happens because him coming and breaking through that dimension cracks space and time in our multiverse or whatever. We didn't know that. They didn't say that in the comic. I had to read that on an external fucking Wikipedia website or whatever. But all of a sudden, like, the sky is red. It starts raining blood. A giant, like, void opens up in the sky. Yeah. It's like, okay, something happened, but they don't say what. That's Grant Morrison just being like, come on, you don't get it? You don't get it? I made it. The sky is raining blood. What do you think it is? So I don't know, but or I can't. I'm not gonna try his Scottish accent. I was gonna go for it, but I was like, nah, I shouldn't. That might be. I can't do it.
Yeah, don't even.
I was thinking about it. No.
You're just gonna come out with like Sean Connery or something.
Yeah. There you go. That would be so much worse. Anyway, so that's the end of issue 4. Issue 5 starts, and we're on Oa. And Hal Jordan is on trial for the killing of Orion, and Alpha Lantern Kraken is in front of the Guardians. She's like, "Look at me, I'm infallible."
Come on now.
She's like the caveman lawyer. Caveman lawyer. She's like, "Look, I don't know a lot, but what I do know is I'm infallible. Therefore, he's guilty." All right, that's all I need to know. That's all you need to know. And they're like, "Oh, good point.
Yes.
That is a good point. You are infallible." They're so like fucking full of themselves. Sometimes I hate the Guardians in Noah. They're like they're such assholes about like themselves and how good they create stuff, and they never make anything good. Their fucking power batteries run out.
Yep.
The first things they made, the Manhunters, they suck. Those robot people, they like are evil and fuck the universe up now. And then like. Yeah, a lot of shit like that happens. The Alpha Lanterns went bad and stuff, so they're not as good as they think they are. Somehow they get the rap of being like smart people.
They just have big heads for a reason.
Yeah, I guess that's what they're small bodies though. They might be regular size head, but they got small body.
Yes.
So anyway, she testifies, Kraken, and they're like, "Well, good point. I think he is." You're right. He is guilty, I think. And then all of a sudden, Guy Gardner and Kyle Rayner show up, and they're like, "Hold up. We think he's not." And they're like, "Also good points." Point. And then I guess she freaks out because she's like, "Oh my God, they're going to find me out." And she's like, "No, I must destroy power battery." And so like she freaks out. She like, I don't know if she kills or just maims one of the Guardians. And then starts towards the power battery. And then they're like, "Oh, initiate, emergency protocols." And they like put the power battery in a pocket dimension. So the pocket dimension hides it, but it also makes it so the Green Lanterns can't recharge.
Yeah. So
like now they have like not infinite power to their rings or whatever. And so, but Hal is cleared of all charges, and instead of being like, "Well, here's a vacation. Sorry we fucked up," they're like, "Actually, you have 24 hours to fix this mess that we got you in or whatever." So we were wrong. That's our bad. So yeah, and the main thing is that. With the arrival of Darkseid, all space and time has smashed around the Earth, creating a doomsday singularity, is what they called it on Wikipedia. I would have not known that's what it was called because Grant Morrison never says that and never names it. So good to know. But then the Checkmate, I guess the good forces in Checkmate have gathered enough people, and they attack Bloodhaven. Finally, they're like, "Okay, we need to be on the offensive," and like, so we're gonna start our attack. And at the same time, the Green Lanterns are slowly, might I say, approaching the fucking Earth.
Yeah, I was like, okay, they're coming to save the day, and then like as
they travel fast, I thought they don't travel fast at all in this bullshit. They take like 2 more issues to get there. I was like, "Are you fucking serious?"
Maybe it's because they're limited power.
Maybe they can't go light speed because they don't have their.
Yeah, they get a sublight.
All right, I'll take that from you. All right, I'll take that example. But in the meantime, in the new like Bloodhaven Sanctuary of Evil or whatever, Libra, who's got all like the evil people, he's found someone is like giving aid to the good guys. They're giving information on what's going on. So he's like, "Oh, it's got to be the calculator." It's that guy, the calculator. We've only known. I think we found him in Identity Crisis is when we first read about him. But he's basically like the evil Oracle. And he so he hangs him. They like, fucking kill the calculator. They're like, that son of a bitch. And Lex is like, yeah, that son of a bitch. And it turns out Lex Luthor is actually the guy he's like, he hates this Libra motherfucker.
Yeah,
and he's like, I'm gonna give information to the good guys because while I want to take over the world, I want a world full of people to take over.
Take over, exactly.
I don't want like Darkseid to kill everybody, and then I'm like, can't take over the Earth.
That's one thing I did like it didn't quite. I was trying to understand first. I was like, why are they pressing so hard? Because like Libra keeps every time Libra comes back up, Libra's like basically like corrupting a few more of the villains to come and be like, okay, yeah, we're followers of Darkseid now. Like he'll be like, what do you want? You want Batman to disappear? Bam, that's gonna happen. Do you want this? Like, bam, that's gonna happen. Like, so he's getting him, and then he keeps coming back to Lex Luthor. He's like, what's it gonna take, Lex? And Lex is like, well, maybe you take Superman out of the equation. We'll get, don't kill him, but take him out of the equation. We'll see. And so that happens, and then he's like, yeah, well, maybe if you like Lex just keeps like pulling it.
He's not doing it. He ain't buying it, and so basically like this there as everybody, like the good guys come to Bloodhaven, like the full power of Darkseid is now on Earth, and he is like risen basically. So he is putting on basically the whole time, like they're attacking, and he's like putting on his boots, and he's like putting on his helmet or whatever. Like it's taking him a long time to get the fuck out of his chair. It seemed like he was in that chair for a long time in these books. I was like, how far away is Checkmate? Like if all these people fly to Bloodhaven, it's a castle, so I assume it's in like Ireland or something. I don't know. I don't know where Checkmate is, but like, let's say it's in Maine. All right, it's in Maine. Bloodhaven is New Jersey, so 4 hours. Yeah. I don't know. Like how far are these places apart, and then how long does it take him to get the fuck out of his chair and put on his goddamn suit or whatever, He did take over an older man's body. Maybe he's just a little creaky. Yeah, but now he's fully empowered, and he's got all the power from the anti-life equation taking over and everything too. So whatever. Finally, a giant hole opens in the sky, and that's like the singularity, and it opens because Darkseid is fucking here now officially. It's weird because like this issue and the last issue kind of like overlap. Like the last half of the last issue and this one happened seemingly at the same time. Yeah. But they don't say that. It just, now I thought that's already open. You know what I mean? Like, I thought we said the sky opened with blood or whatever, but like now I guess, now it officially opens into a giant hole in the sky or something, So whatever. Fuck. It's each issue takes the place in real time, apparently. So yeah. And then issue 6 is where we finally fucking see Superman come back. So Superman has been in the 31st century working with a legion of superheroes, apparently. That's where the person took him when she was like, I will save Lois if you come with me. And what they did there was I guess Superman Prime, Superboy Prime from Infinite Crisis has been locked up all the way to the 31st century and finally got out, and Superman helped them. And this is in some other issue off, not in the Final Crisis main story arc. So I, once again, Wikipedia'd that to figure out what happened. So, but as like reward, they're like, here is something called a miracle machine. And it's basically it works on refined willpower, and it will do anything you want. Anything. And they're like, we're only giving it to you because you're Superman, and like you need to fix what's happening, on your Earth or whatever. So he goes back in time, I assume, and with this gift, and it says, they say he will need it to like fix the damage done to the crisis. So, this is like my favorite part. This is like one of my favorite parts of this whole thing. So, the epic fights are happening, right? You have like. One of my favorite characters now after reading this was Frankenstein. Frankenstein is in this, and he's like, yeah, there's like a little bit of like some like grungy under characters. Is like you've got Frankenstein, then there's the Question is in it, and it's Renee Montoya's Question. Yeah, she's taking over the mantle, and there's like
they're kind of trying to figure out like what's been going on in the background too a little bit.
Yeah.
Their arc is not quite as important.
Yeah. One thing I liked is that because obviously Frankenstein is undead, he can't be affected by the anti-life equation because he ain't alive. So so he's like, I'm sweet. Like, I'm just killing fuckers all over the place. And he's fighting everybody, which I thought was fun. He's singing like Nick Cave lyrics and shit while he's killing people, which was always fun. And then we saw, like we said, Mary Marvel is fighting Supergirl and a bunch of other big fighters, Captain Marvel Jr. and Black Adam. And so she's fighting them. And at the same time, Talkie Tawny, their tiger buddy, their tiger butler, is like, "Oh my, I don't know exactly what I am doing here, but I'm in my, like tweed suit, fucking walking around." And then the big Calabec tiger monster that we talked about this earlier comes up to him and is like, "Time to die, motherfucker!" And he's got like all these tiger gang members
people,
with him,
yeah.
So other tiger humanoids that they made to like be his gang. And I guess so Mary Marvel is fighting, and for all you don't know, the Marvel family, just like the movie Shazam, there's all these kids that if they say the word Shazam, they turn into superpowered people with the little lightning bolt on the chest. So Mary Marvel is evil, but they can't kill her. They don't want to kill their sister. They can't kill her body.
Yeah.
So what they end up doing is Captain Marvel Jr. grabs her and he yells Shazam at the same time that he has her in his arms, and it turns both of them into kids again. And then so that she can never say the word Shazam again because now that god is like trapped in the word and the power or whatever. I don't know, like her superpowered person.
Yeah.
So super fucked up. I thought that she's like freaking out, like, I can't believe it made me do all those things, and like she did some like fucked up shit too. If you read this, she's like one of the main like murderers of everybody. So she was going around like ripping motherfuckers' heads off and stuff, and it's pretty fucked up. So yeah, and then but the best thing is when they do that, the tiger guy Calabec is like, he's distracted. He's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And Tawny, the tiger, is like, "Rawr," and like scratches him with his claws, but he like disembowels fucking Calabec. It's amazing. Yeah, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, it came out of nowhere because I was not expecting that. I thought they were gonna beat the shit because they are beating him up. Like, he's fighting Calabec, he's losing the fight, and then all of a sudden, Talkie Tawny is like shink with his claws and just like across his stomach and disembowels this fucking giant tiger humanoid monster or whatever. It's pretty fucking awesome.
It was really cool.
They even draw the intestines and everything. I was like, Jesus Christ. But the best thing about it was all the tiger minions are like, "You are new leader.
You're the new leader.
You're the new leader. You killed him fair and square." That's how they work. So like he basically gets the like respect of the tiger people. And then another thing that happens with this is like while that's going on, Libra figures out that it's actually Lex and Dr. Sylvania that have teamed. Dr. Sylvania is the bad guy from Captain Marvel. So from Shazam, he's the guy from Shazam. That's bad. So Lex and him have teamed up. Even though they hate each other, they hate the idea of this fucker more. And like they've also seen their like daughters and family members getting taken over by this anti-life equation, and they're not cool with that. And so they're like Libra's like, "I knew it was you, Lex. Eventually I would find you. You thought you could take me on or whatever." And Lex is like, Cool story, bro. While you were like figuring all this shit out, I have slowly been able to power up my suit because he's got like that weird green armor suit on. Yeah. And he's just like, and now it's fully powered. And he like shoots Libra, and Libra disappears, like evaporates. It's not quite sure if he actually dies or if he just something happened to him and he's not there anymore. I don't know. Like, did he actually die or did he just go into another dimension or something? I don't know. We don't know fully.
Yeah,
but
it was not.
But he's definitely not here anymore, so they're happy about that. So Lex ends up like saving people too. Like he ends up being a good guy because he's like, I don't hate I want to take over this world, but not not like with you people, not with the anti-life equation and shit. And then the big thing that happens in this issue is, so Batman, who we haven't seen the whole time, breaks out of his little mind control, like
holding
machine. I guess it looks like a what would it be, like a machine that just surrounds each of your limbs and your head, and like a visor comes on you, and
it made me think of like the Captain America chamber, but mixed with
a visor or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Some kind of VR technology.
Or what's the why am I blanking the Arnold Schwarzenegger
Total Recall?
Total Recall, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
there you go. There you go. Yeah, Total Recall setup. So he breaks out of that, and he's like so pissed off at Darkseid. He like comes up to Darkseid, and he's like, you're gonna make me break my one rule or whatever.
Darkseid, who's just now getting up out of his chair finally. He's got his suit on.
Yes.
He's now getting up out of his chair.
He's like, I am
he's like finally
walking or whatever. And like
and Batman shows up.
So Batman shows up, and I guess he has had the bullet on him the whole time.
Yep.
In his pocket or whatever. I guess he kept the bullet that they found at the beginning, because I guess you give it to him because he's the best detective. Luckily, the Alpha Lantern didn't take it for some reason. And so, also we should say the Green Lanterns do show up, I think right after this. So they're still not here.
Yeah, they're still flying.
They're still flying, I guess, at grandpa speed because they don't want to use all their power, because their rings can't be charged. So yeah, he has a gun. He loads it, and he's like, I can't believe you're making me break the fucking promise I made my parents. Yeah, my one rule. And he shoots Darkseid, and because he never shoots a gun, he's a bad shot, and he shoots him in the shoulder. But it's the
God killing bullet.
It's a God killing bullet, so it doesn't matter where you shoot him. But he shoots him in the shoulder. I'm like, come on, Batman, shoot him in the fucking head, or shoot him in the chest. Center mass.
God for the head, exactly.
Center mass. All right. And so he shoots him in the shoulder. And like, so Darkseid's like, oh, you got me, but can you beat my eye beams? And he like shoots his eye beams at Batman, and they fucking hit Batman, and Batman disintegrates basically.
Yeah, which was fucking like he disintegrates, except for his bat suit. So it's like this skeleton with this bat suit hanging on it. It's really horrible.
Yeah, it kind of it's like it's like the end scene in Last Crusade, where like the guy melts or whatever, but like faster than that.
Yeah.
But in the suit, the suit's still on the skeleton at the end,
I have a question for you real fast. It's it's on the note of Darkseid.
Okay.
Why do Darkseid's if you telling me it's just a comic thing to make it go longer, that's fine, I guess. I don't like that answer. Why do Darkseid's Omega beams not go in a straight goddamn line? Why do they have to like curve and like
because it's scarier.
Is it?
I'm going to tell you this. It's because Jack Kirby liked to draw interesting things. That's why.
That's why. And so they've okay.
Well, you got to think of it like this: if it always comes out straight out of your eyes, people could dodge it. This goes where he wills it. So like, I think it's like he's thinking of every imaginable way to dodge it. Yeah. Okay. And then they always find where to kill you or whatever.
Okay, well, see, that makes sense.
I believe that is what it is, but I'm not 100% on that.
Well, it's a better answer than what I was like. It's just for the comic purpose.
But for those you don't know, when it comes out of his eyes, they go together in diagonals and angles and weird directions. They don't just go straight.
Yeah,
and then they end up hitting you. So it's kind of like, you'll never guess where they are.
It always makes me think of the Snake game, where it's like you're collecting the little blocks and it's getting longer and longer. That's what it makes me think of every time.
It's pretty much like that. Yeah. So he hits Batman. Batman dies, and the battle looks like it's lost. Everybody's. I think this is where they show the Green Lanterns come in right after Batman gets killed.
Finally.
Is the Green Lanterns show up and they're like, we're only at 20%. They're like, you got to give it your all. And so they're fighting with 20% battery on their stuff. And everybody looks like they're going to die and lose and everything. I think, at this time also Wonder Woman gets freed from her spell or from the disease. I guess she's infected with the virus. But what happens is Frankenstein somehow, I guess because he's immune to everything, like touches her or something and it frees her or whatever. Yeah. So they don't really explain that.
I figured it was like that, and maybe partially because Darkseid got hurt. Maybe that messes with it.
But yeah, Frankenstein frees her, and then she's super pissed off. So, Darkseid. It's funny you were talking about this. They actually say like, basically Darkseid committed suicide because if you think about it, Darkseid killed, or Darkseid uses the gun, or he takes. Okay, so as Darkseid's dying, he takes the bullet that was in him, loads it in the gun that Batman shot him with, shoots it into the past to kill Orion. So he basically killed himself.
Yeah, he has this like long train of events.
It's a weird.
We still don't know where the bullet originated though, because it's the same bullet.
The only thing I think is maybe the one he shoots is not the one that's inside of him, or you know what I mean? Like maybe that one he has the bullet, he shoots it, but that's the one that also Batman shot him with. So I don't know.
Time travel, it's crazy.
Yeah, you never know. So yeah. Anyway, so Darkseid, he's dying. A forever pit appears, and as that's happening, Superman
finally
returns. He's like, da, 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 I'm here. He doesn't have his fucking like magic chair or whatever the fuck they gave him, the willpower machine with him. He's like, I know I must build it. So, but right away he sees Batman's dead, and he freaks the fuck out and he starts beating the shit out of everybody. As Superman would if he saw Batman died. And so he's beating the fuck out of him. And then Darkseid's like, you will never win. I have already done so much. Even though I will die, Darkseid is everyone and everywhere. And ha ha ha.
Yeah, so if you kill me, you're going to basically hurt all the people.
Yeah. And so then his minions like beam up their eyes, and they're about to shoot him with their Omega beams, and as they do, Wally and Barry appear, and they're running real fucking fast at the bullet that just got shot, and the Black Racer the bullet that got shot, they ran past it, and Black Racer, who's like Death or whatever, is right behind them, and they're like, there. And so then all the Omega beams start going after them, and then they run through Darkseid, I guess. They vibrate through him, and the beams hit him, and also the Black Racer steals his soul. They don't say why. I don't know if Black Racer and him had like a thing or like a prophecy that was to be fulfilled or something, but they made it sound like that was supposed to happen at some point in time or something.
Yeah,
like he will be killed by the Black Racer.
And also, right as this is happening, like, so Superman is like getting ready to face all that down. Lex Luthor also shows up with some of the other, I guess, villains that he kept on his side, and so like Lex Luthor's like, all right, I'm here to help, and I just like this particularly because it was funny. Superman's like, Lex, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm here to help. Not a word about this, Superman.
Yeah,
like. It's just happening.
It's never happened, but also I'm helping you. So
yeah, it was weird because Lex also was like, I wanted you to know that I helped defeat Darkseid. Like, I figured all this out. I figured all this out too, and
I could have done it myself probably. But yeah, so now Darkseid is officially dead. He wasn't sitting there with a bullet in him talking for the rest of the issue or whatever. He's officially dead. So now the Earth begins to collapse because Darkseid's dying, or like not the Earth, but like the time and space around Earth and everything begins to collapse. And so all the heroes start making. There's all these weird contingency plans that come up. Like some of them are like, we have to get everybody to this Earth 51 because that's like a abandoned Earth or something, and we can get all the survivors there. They'll be fine. And then they're like, well, let's just shrink everybody in trays and shit. So they start doing all these weird things that are like contingency plans to like save everybody from the Earth collapsing. And then there's some other stuff. We're not going to bring it up, but there's another There's some Monitor stuff happening. Like if you remember the Monitor from, not the Anti-Monitor, the regular monitors.
Yeah.
There's an evil Monitor called Mandrake who's like on Earth 51 waiting for them. It's like a big thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all because at the end of the day, Superman's like, I got the best plan of all, you dumb fucks. Why didn't we do this together? And he is like, I got the directions to make the Happy Wish machine, the miracle machine. And so basically he builds it. It can run off of him, his solar energy, so he doesn't need any special power. So he's like, cool. And he starts it up and he's like, I want a happy ending is what he wishes for. And so everything fixes. And like basically all the new gods are sent to their dimension. All Earths are repaired. Everything's back to normal. The only thing that isn't back to normal except is Batman is still dead. Except, and they don't say this, but I just figured this out as I was talking to John. I believe it brings him back to life because the last shot of the comic of issue 7 is Anthro dying an old man. Anthro was like the first human or whatever on Earth, in DC lore.
We saw him in one of the other ones.
Yeah, we saw him in like, I think Infinite Crisis. No, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
It was Crisis.
Yeah, it was,
right.
Yeah,
because they were to like the big towers.
Yes. And so Batman is the old man Anthro dies, and then we see another person put a utility belt on top of Anthro, his dead body, and then we see a cowlless Batman, Bruce Wayne, writing something on a wall in a cave. So I guess he's traveled back through all of time and has appeared there.
And he's like, I'll figure out how to get out of here.
Yeah. So we don't know. I mean, I guess that's Grant Morrison wrote Batman after this for about 4 years. So I'm assuming that's what that whole run is about. At that time, you get Dick Grayson taking over the mantle of Batman and Damian Wayne, Bruce Wayne's son, with Talia Ghul. He's like a little assassin motherfucker. He's awesome. He's like the new Robin, which is pretty cool. He was a fun Robin. But that was a fun story arc, I guess, for that. But yeah, so Batman's dead technically in this, and then everything gets fixed by Superman's Happy Wish machine at the end.
Happy Wish machine.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. What'd you think, John?
Yeah, it was confusing as fuck, to say the least.
Yes.
There were some parts I really did like. One thing I just want to mention, because I said I like how it came back when Green Arrow sent everybody up there. Green Arrow he gets the helmet on, he gets corrupted or whatnot. And then it's funny later because like some of the people that are under Darkseid's control go up there and they're like, oh, how did they find us? And then Green Arrow shows up with his helmet on. And he's like, yeah, he just sent you there. How else do you think they figured out where you were?
Yeah.
Like, it was him. They got him. I just thought it was a fun little thing. But then they're able to, I think they
turn off the gravity.
Yeah.
And then like they're able to get out of the Justice League satellite or whatever.
So it's not as consequential, but I was a fun little arc. Especially because I have a little bit of a, like, I like Green Arrow. I think he's a cool character in the comics. Every time I read him, I'm like, oh, he's cool. I like him. But I don't know enough about the backstory, and I've never watched like Arrow or anything like that. So.
Yeah, you don't need to watch Arrow. Not that it's bad. It's just if you're gonna read, I would say read some good Green Arrow story arcs or whatever if you want to know more about them. But one fun one is the Green Lantern Green Arrow story arcs from the 70s.
Yeah,
those are fun. They're dated, but they're fun. You get to know like his personality. Yeah. So what would you give this one then, John?
So the art was fantastic, for sure. And like you said, the story, although confusing, like I could follow it. I could figure out where things were going.
But not only that, it wasn't boring. I was never like falling asleep or like I was always like, I want to find out what's going on. I just can't. It's just fuzzy.
That's true. Because Crisis on Infinite Earths, we were like,
it was intriguing.
Yeah,
that's what I'll say. It was intriguing. It wasn't always there. The knowledge wasn't always there. The explanation, but it was intriguing.
Oh yeah, no, and I wanted to know where it was going, and like I said too, because as I kept reading, I was like, when is Superboy Prime going to come back in? When is I was expecting
you were expecting a story,
and none of those ever came up. So it was also that too. I think a little bit for me, but in general, it was fun. I liked it. It's definitely not one I would be like, hey, read this comic. You'll love it.
Yeah, no.
Ever. I would never just be like
hopefully
you know enough DC, then check out that one if you've not read it. But I would probably give it a 6.
A 6? Okay, cool.
It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like, oh my God, amazing.
Yeah. I'm going to give this one a 6 too, because like you said, the art was really good. I think I gave Crisis on Infinite Earths a 6 as well.
I feel like I gave Crisis on Infinite Earths 6 or 7. I don't remember.
I think you gave it a 7, but we both gave it like a round of, a little higher than a 5, but not like an 8 or a 9 or anything. I can't give this an 8 or a 9 because it's so crazy. I don't know what's going on, and they left stuff out of the main series. Like, one thing I liked about Infinite Crisis was you could read just those 6 issues or 7 issues and you got the story. Like, we didn't have trouble following Infinite Crisis nearly as hard as this one was.
Yeah.
And it was because they had side stories that you were supposed to buy, other ones that they included in the trade paperback of this because they're so important. But I mean, you shouldn't have your main story have to have that. So I'm demoting it for that. But I will say, this is not boring. This is very intriguing and like interesting. It makes me want to read. It makes me want to find out what I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's why I like this. Is unlike Crisis on Infinite Earths, where I'm like, I will never read any of those side stories or anything. This makes me go, I wonder what I'm missing. How can I fill in those holes? And then maybe this story will be fucking amazing. You know what I mean? Like, in my mind, this story is amazing. I just don't have the knowledge for it. It's like if I read, like, some Stephen Hawking paper or something, I'm like, my mind is blown on what I can understand, wormholes and such or whatever, but like,
I do not have the rest of this
I don't
knowledge.
have the rest of the knowledge to fill in those gaps.
That's true. I can see that.
That's how I feel about this. It's not a bad thing. It's just, I feel like there is an epic story in there that I just don't have all the pieces for or whatever. Which the other one, I was just like, I'm never going to read this again.
On saying that, I'm going to amend. So Crisis on Infinite Earths is 5 now.
Okay.
This one is a 6.
Okay.
This is Final Crisis.
Right.
And then Infinite Crisis is an 8. Like, it's my favorite of the
It was great.
I liked it a lot.
That's the Jeff Johns story touch.
And I think Identity Crisis, although it wasn't that, it's still like kind of a bigger thing. That's a 7.
Yeah. That one was nice to start off with because it does have the little threads and the characters that go through into some of the other ones.
Yeah, the Dr. Light stuff as well.
Yeah. So, I'm going to give this one a 6 as well. I just feel like this is not one to give someone who doesn't know anything about. This was the one I was most wary of, but I was like, let's see how he does, And maybe we will read some Fourth World stuff and you'll be like, oh, let me fill that gap. Gap, so we'll see. But yeah, for next week, we're going to get off this DC train. Hopefully you guys aren't too.
Yeah, we are not a DC only podcast. Yeah. And we are going to.
we want to touch these epic storylines because they should be like kind of read together, especially, if you read them, they're supposed to intertwine or somewhat or whatever. And we want you guys to understand what these events are, and so you don't have to read them, and we do. So and I want to know, I want to know them too, because I read Final Crisis when it came out. I worked at the comic book store, and I didn't understand it then, and I don't understand it now. I understand it better now because of the Wikipedia stuff I read or whatever. But yeah, for sure, could have been done a little bit better storytelling wise. But like I said, if you take LSD, read about $800 worth of Jack Kirby back issues, and then you'll understand everything about this. So
if you've got the money and time, definitely.
Yeah, you're a DC fan.
You want to know what real comics is like?
Yeah, get that shit out of here. This is real comics. So next week we're going to read an indie book called Stray Bullets by David Lapham. It is a crime fiction series, so it should be fun.
Yeah.
It should be different pace. I think this is like one of the first, besides the Parker books, the crime, the other crime. This is one of the other only crime books we've read besides true crime stuff. So this is fiction crime. But I've heard it's really good. Never read it. You've never read it, so it's a fresh start for us.
Fresh for both of us. So yeah. I'm actually looking forward to that, being that you don't have too much of the back on this. You know, me a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, the most I had on this was I wanted to read it, and they weren't in print when I was in the comic book store, so I had no chance to read them. So, awesome. So on that note, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word, at gmail.com.
Don't forget to bet our Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for exclusive content. Make sure to check everything out, and I guess we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. Have a good one.
Bye.
Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did, and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.